Mark Udoff, I actually watched, Mark Udoff had a kind of meeting with the workers at the University of California Office of the President, UCAL workers. And so he had a question and answer session. And he said, one of his points was that since 1990, state funding has stayed constant and adjusted for inflation. The University of California should be receiving, I think, $1 billion more than what we actually are receiving from the state. But the point to that is, if the university, if his salary, if the president's salary had stayed constant since 1980, his salary for his own position would be about $200,000 a year. And his base salary, I believe, was reported in the Aggie, it was $889,000 a year. And I'm not sure if that includes benefits or not. So we've seen this growth, this huge growth in what we spend on administrators. And we haven't seen that same growth in what we spend on students, what we spend on education. And given that the core function of the university is to educate undergraduates, that's something that's priority.
On Mark Udoff's salary, he started with a base salary of $591,000 with a pension contribution of $228,000. And technically he doesn't get to collect that pension contribution until he retires, but it is still the money that he gets. Under the furlough plan, his base salary of $591,000 is cut by 10%, or $59,100. So his actual base salary for this year is $531,900, and I did all this math last night. So, but that $531,000 doesn't include 228, so it's about $750 under the furlough program this year, and the furlough program ends at the end of this year, so we'll go back to the base salary of $591 plus the 228.
And they also renegotiated this pension contract over spring break behind closed doors, so no one knows what those are going to be for a while. They just like redid them, whatever. I think they got increases.
The next part of the resolution reads, the Regents of the University of California do not maintain any significant transparency in its decision-making processes. How do you justify that statement when every Regent meeting is open to the public, all meeting agendas, minutes, staff reports, and related documents are freely available online, and the entire UC budget is available for public viewing at Shields Library? Is that your...
Well, first I would say there's closed sessions at every Regents meeting. I don't know what they're talking about there. I don't know if it's justified or not. But there are closed sessions. Let's say a public Regents meeting, but then they go into a room and nobody gets to know what they're talking about. You want to go?
I was going to mention that. But also the reason that we have all these figures of all these salaries and everything is because the Regents were sued. I can't remember. It was one of the unions. Maybe asked me. They sued the Regents, and then they got. When they won, then they made that database ucpay.global.org.
Yeah, I never seen that. Some of it right here.
But the reason we have that is because of a lawsuit that the Regents lost. I don't know if it was the Regents got sued or the Office of the President got sued. I remember probably the Office of the President. So we only had, it's not like the administration really wants to be transparent. We have to force them to be transparent, I think.
And the budget is not available online. There is some sections of the budget that's available online in the library, not the whole budget. You cannot see how it's divided and who and what money goes to which departments. You cannot find this kind of information. So it's not true.
And the reason we have some of this stuff though is because of Bob Meister. Because Bob Meister was on one of these budget advisory boards, and he did a lot of these studies of the PowerPoints, the unreleased portions of the budget, and he has that great blog at changinguniversities.blogspot.
So how would you define a significant level of transparency in the decision-making processes of the UC?
Well, I think being open and honest would be a start. I don't think the UC is there yet. I think there have been a lot of controversial decisions that people just don't know about and that really have not been, that are deliberately confused, I think, by the Office of the President. And one of those is I think Adam brought up Bob Meister. One of those is collateral. I mean, all our tuition is pledged as collateral right now. And when the budget cuts first came in last year, we said, well, why can't we take money from, say, this department and put it towards undergraduate education? And the answer we received was that the money's set aside for a purpose. We can't do it because it's dedicated to a different purpose. But the reality is that it's not. I mean, legally it's not. There's no legal precedent. There's no law saying it's not. There's no court decision saying that you can't spend that money. It's UC policy that that money isn't spent. And that obviously can be changed. When they use all of our tuition as collateral for a construction project, but they can't use money for construction, like say the bookstore, to help fund undergraduate education. It doesn't make any sense. It shows that money can go from us to different uses, purposes, but it can't go from those other uses to us.
I think the point of clarification on that would be that when you use money as collateral, you're not necessarily spending it.
Right.
Whereas if you use it to fund education, you're obviously spending it.
So actually, Bob Meister, that's true. That's true. But it set the precedent, I guess, that you can spend it. You can use tuition, all of our tuition, every our educational fee or every other fee, in order to pay construction costs, if you need to. I mean, it's not doing it, but you can do it. And the other issue, which actually Bob Meister brought up, and I can read it to you. UC recently sold more than $1.6 billion in highly rated bonds 1 month after declaring an extreme financial emergency. Why is its bond rating excellent, even after UC says that without cutting employee pay, it will have difficulty paying its bills? The single most important reason that UC has an excellent bond rating, much better than states, is that it can now raise your tuition at will. Your tuition is UC's #1 source of revenue to pay back bonds. That's ahead of new earnings from bond-funded projects, which do not even come second. The bond interest, UC now pays $300 million this year, and it's projected to go way up. So some of our tuition, at least, seemingly, is being used to pay interest on bonds, construction loans.
And so don't these construction projects benefit students in some way? Or benefit the university? Benefit someone other than the Regents?
Well, I think the question is, do they benefit students? And I don't see, I think you have to break down the actual construction project. Some of it's done with private money, and that I'm not really going to get into. They're not building more classrooms. They're not building projects which are, really undergraduate friendly or student friendly. They tend to be research projects or elective projects, and I think more often than not, just totally elective. Like the bookstore renovations are going to cost $26 million. That's, I think, my favorite example. Because $12 million of that is coming from money that we already have in the MU fund, but which could be allocated theoretically for different purposes. And the other $14 million of that is coming from bonds. It's coming from debt. And we're going to have to pay interest on that debt. And that will likely be paid by a combination of sales revenue and student fees.
Where we were trying to define what would a sufficient role in the decision-making process be for students and faculty.
Well, I think one way you could do it for students, at least, and the faculty has an academic senate, which so they could do something similar to this. But with students, you could do like the campus expansion initiative. You could do a referendum on the idea. If there was a referendum to spend $26 million on renovating the bookstore, and it passed, I really wouldn't be saying anything about it. But there is no referendum on it, and the students don't have any say in where our money is going. And I think they need to.